Plot twist, she was not all right. The next day we saw her still limping, and when she came back to campus, she was in a wheelchair with a cast on her knee, so things did not go well. What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So when I make these videos about clubbing story times, I have not told you guys where it all started. I have not told you guys about the very first night in Korea clubbing. I did not talk about where it was or what went down. So that's what this video is going to be about. My very first time clubbing out in Korea was actually in Daegu. It was the only time I went clubbing in Daegu. Somebody ended up in a wheelchair. I got kicked in the head. It was a mess. So if that's what y'all want to hear, then that's what we about to get into. So 3 years ago now, I had my orientation with the talk program. For those of you who don't know, most teaching programs, unless you go through like an individual recruiter, they usually have like an orientation that lasts for like 2 weeks, maybe longer, maybe shorter. So we were all instructed to fly out to Busan, and then there was going to be a shuttle that picked us up and took us to Daegu Hany University. So we had a roommate. We had like, it was like a dorm, like it was almost like being in college again. We had constant lectures and constant classes. Literally, we were in orientation learning how to teach from like 8:30 until like 6 p.m. 5 days a week. We had breakfast from like 7:30 to 8:30, something like that. We had like an hour break for lunch, and then we had dinner at like 6 p.m. And then some nights we even had a Korean language class. So we were very, very busy in those 2 weeks. And because of prior teacher incidents, we weren't allowed to really leave campus or do much. So we got one night of freedom, y'all. And we went for it. Like, we weren't even allowed to drink on the campus. That didn't stop some people from doing it anyway. I was not about to risk this opportunity over some soju. So I was like, I'm going to stay sober. I am not going to mess this up. So we were allotted one night of freedom. This was a Saturday night. We didn't have anything planned. Usually our Sundays were pretty free too, but a lot of that time people wanted to catch up on sleep and prepare for Monday's lectures. So nobody really went out. We weren't really allowed to leave. This was the one night they said, look, y'all can finally go out. Y'all can drink, y'all can go out and eat, y'all can do what you want. Just don't be stupid, don't get in trouble. Otherwise it makes the program look bad. So one thing that was interesting is, even though we're all grown, like most of us were, there were a few people who were only like 19 or 20, but most of us were in our mid-20s, early mid-20s. We were in our 20s, okay, we're grown. So people, you know, there was already cliques forming. There was a South African group where like all the South African girls gathered. There was a Canadian group, a lot of Canadians. People even from the South in America. Like it was very cliquey, very fast. So everybody left with their cliques, they left with their groups, they, you know, called their taxi. 5 of them would go there, 5 would go here, the rest would take the train or the bus. And there were these 2 people in particular. Like, I'm not gonna use names because I don't want them seeing this video and be like, why are you talking shit? So I'm just gonna probably address stuff from like where they came from, just because it's the easiest for me. But yeah, so there was this American girl, I'm not gonna say her name. She tended to rub people the wrong way because she was a bit condescending, a little arrogant, you know, a little bit. She was always bragging, like, oh, my Korean boyfriend, I got this Korean boyfriend. And we're like, cool. But she talked about it all the time. She would say, like, how can you come to another country without speaking the language? Like, because a lot of people were only there for like 6 months and they didn't learn the language. They didn't become fluent. She wasn't fluent either. But she's like, it's really arrogant to go to a country and not know the language. Like, how dare you? So she rubbed people the wrong way frequently. I'll never forget this time. So we're on the Daegu Hany campus, and we all came from this conference room where they set us all up with our bank accounts and stuff. And it's February, so it's icy, it's cold, and we're walking down this hill slowly, or trying to be careful that we don't go sliding. And this girl asked, what does that sign say? And it said chon chon hee, which means slowly. So I said, oh, it says chon chon hee. And then the girl was like, well, actually it's pronounced chon chon hee. And I'm looking at her like, I know that. I've read what I saw. So in the future, she might see the H sign and not know it's a anyway. And then there was this other guy who I think was Australian, or he was Australian and hung out with the Canadians. I never talked to him. I never got to know him. I don't know. He was of Korean descent, I believe, but had citizenship in either Canada or Australia or both. I don't know. So he was another one of these more arrogant people who spoke Korean and kind of looked at people like, dang, like, how do you not speak Korean when you come to another country? and girls loved him. I didn't really get the appeal, but he was very popular with a lot of the girls. Like, he's so hot, right? I'm like, meh, not really. Anyway, we head out. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I just want to give you a little bit of backstory because these characters will play a part later in the story. So, people got in their taxis. We took the bus because it's cheaper. Like, we haven't made money yet. Like, we're only going with what we came so far, or like the money we brought with us. So, we took a bus. It was mad cheap. And we took a train. And actually, we weren't that far from like downtown Daegu, where the clubbing area was and stuff. So, it didn't really seem necessary to take a taxi. Especially some of our groups were bigger than just like 5 that could fit in a taxi. So, we get on the bus and we hear the condescending girl and this dual citizenship guy. That's what I'll just call him. I hope I'm not confusing y'all. So, the condescending girl and the guy with the citizenships, we could hear them talking shit about us. Like, I hope they don't expect us to take care of them and to translate for them and help them get around. Like, we didn't sign up for this. And we're like, nobody asked you to. Like, we're good. Nobody said, hey, what does it say? Hey, can you translate this for us? Hey, can you help us with this? Nobody asked them for any help. They just assumed, well, looks like I'll be in charge. I don't want this responsibility. Yo, there was so much drama during that orientation, but that's another story time in itself. So we finally get to downtown Daegu, all the clubby streets. You see the flashing lights and noraebang, soju house. Like, we were all excited. And literally, like they're 10 years old, the group of Canadians ran from us. And we're just kind of standing there like, okay, because we were not expected to be with them anyway. So they're laughing like, running away. I'm like, y'all look dumb. So with me right now, there was this guy who was from Seattle. There was a girl from Florida, a girl from Georgia, a Canadian girl, a really sweet girl from New Zealand. And we actually had the same exact birthday, April 13th, 1993. That was crazy. And there was also a really sweet Scottish girl. So there's like 7 of us total as of now. And we're supposed to be going to a Thursday party to meet up with my roommate who's South African. And she had a group of people with her too. But we didn't know that there were more than one Thursday party. We thought it was just one. So we get to one and we're like, where is she? And we're, you know, trying to go out and find where everybody is. And then the condescending girl starts to complain about how hungry she is. And we're like, why didn't you eat before? Like, we all ate before we left. So we're trying to find our friends and go clubbing at the same time this girl gotta eat. But she doesn't want anything that's around us. She doesn't want any suggestions. She don't know what she want to eat, but she wants to eat. And she's getting really cranky and we're wasting time. So we're like, yo, we get this one night. Like, come on, choose something. Oh, and actually, the Canadian girl that's with us now is the same girl from the storytime I did about the Airbnb in Gangnam with the perv. Just so you can see how these connect a little bit. So I think we literally popped into some Burger King or McDonald's or something, and she's complaining the whole time. So we finally make it to the right Thursday party. And, you know, we're like, yes, darts, soju, shots, music. We're just excited. Like, we just want a little bit of everything. So the girl from Georgia is mad young, like 19 or 20 or turning 20. And we're like, how did you get into the program? She was hella young. She was really tall, like maybe 5'10", 5'11". She was a bit on the heavy side. You know, she was really nice. She was very childlike though, which, I mean, she was only 19 or 20, so that's understandable. The thing is, she was very aggressive with a lot of the guys around us. She was, you know, trying to get their attention and dancing extra hard and dramatic. Now, for those who don't know, Thursday party is more like a pub. It's not, I mean, you see people dancing every now, but there's not really like a designated dancing space, at least to the Thursday parties I've been to. They're mostly like a loungy place. Like, there's, you know, darts, there's games and stuff to play, there's music, there's tables and chairs. Like, it's more of a loungy pub than a club. So her dancing that hard, she was like the only one going ham. And we're trying to like, just like trying to apologize and pull her back. So then we hear loudness out front and we're kind of like, we lost the Canadian girl and we lost the condescending girl. We're like, wait, what? And we go out front and they're yelling at each other. I don't know what happened. I missed this whole part because we were trying to rein in girl from Georgia. The condescending girl went off on the Canadian girl. I don't know what happened. And she ended up leaving early in a taxi. And the Georgia girl left with her. And there was another girl in the taxi with them and they just left. So we didn't see them for the rest of the night. And I hate to say it, but we were a bit relieved because, you know, we had this girl who was kind of dragging down the mood, complaining about everything, and then we had another girl who was drunk and borderline assaulting men.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Don't do that.
So we're like, all right, Now we can have some fun. But we were worried that, you know, the scene, like you got her grabbing people, them yelling out front. We didn't want anybody to call the cops or something, and we're not trying to get in trouble and get kicked out of Korea, so we left. We left Thursday party. So we get out front and we're trying to calm down the girl from Canada, because she's like, what, like, I don't know what happened, but she's like, yo, F her, man, like, what is this? What is she coming at me like that for? Then this Korean guy wearing this leather moto jacket, and it's freezing out. So we're like, bro, I know you cold. And he's like trying to calm her down, like, hello, it's okay, relax. And I don't know what conversation they had, but he ended up sticking with us for the rest of the night. So now the guy from Seattle wasn't the only guy with us, so he felt a little bit better too. And his Korean was very, very good because he had a Korean girlfriend. So we're like wandering down the street trying to find new bars and clubs and stuff to go into. And we find this one place. I've been trying to remember what the name of it was. It was like a one title short name, and it was all black, so it was easily missed. So we go into this place because it was free. And they were like, yeah, come on in. And we get inside, it's dark. Like, it's really dark in there. And we're like, yo, we can finally dance a little bit, and it's dark, so we don't gotta be judged. And you also got like a free drink with your entry coming in. I get my cranberry vodka. I had enough soju for the night. So the girl from Canada and the moto jacket boy are kind of sticking by the bar, and the rest of us hit the dance floor a little bit. And the girl from Florida went over to the bar to get another drink. She stayed over there for a while. Like, she was talking with the girl from Canada and the guy in the moto jacket, and then we look over and she's making out with some dude. Like, we're like, whoa. Like, we did not expect that. And he was a little on the older side too, so we're like, okay. And you know, we're dancing, it's hip hop, it was lit, like it was really fun. And this one dude, he was like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from America. He said, oh, cool, how old are you? And I was like, guess, just because it's fun. And he was like, 21.
21?
And I was like, I'm 23. He said, wow, you look so young. And it's a little disappointing because seeing how hard this dude was able to dance, it had instilled in my mind that, oh, this is what I'm gonna see a lot when I go clubbing in Korea. In my experience, not a lot of Korean dudes can just get down randomly on the dance floor like that. This dude was kind of random. It was a pleasant surprise. I was like, okay, we getting all hype. And one of the girls that came with us that we went, it's hard to keep up without using their names because I'm not trying to out people. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. Like, why would you tell people I did that? So it's hard for me to keep up to. But when we met up with the girl from South Africa who was my roommate, she was with a group of other girls who happened to be, one of them happened to be the Canadian girl's roommate. So we all knew each other, you know? So she's dancing, we all going in, and suddenly this dude in the club kicked the mess out of her. Like, he was just dancing that hard that he kicked her the wrong angle in her leg, and she went down. You know, he's like, oh, Jisung-il, oh, like trying to help her up and everything, and she's like, it's okay. But she ended up having to sit down for the rest of the night. And after a while, her and my roommate left. Like, they said, we're gonna leave, it's late. It was probably like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So she's like, it's late, you know, I'm just gonna try and get some sleep. And we were hoping that after, you know, some rest, her leg would feel better. Plot twist, she was not all right. The next day we saw her still limping, and when she came back to campus, she was in a wheelchair with a cast on her knee. So things did not go well. And a part of the whole petty drama from orientation, a lot of people were starting this rumor that her roommate beat her up while we were clubbing. I was like, she was over at the bar drinking with the moto jacket dude. This girl was dancing and just got kicked by somebody. They were not fighting. Like, people were so quick to be like, yo, I heard she beat her up. I'm like, we are grown. And we felt bad for her because we got this one night of freedom, and then she comes back to orientation in a wheelchair. And they're like, this is why we only give y'all one night of freedom. Like, this is why we don't let y'all go out. Y'all keep doing dumb stuff. So that was not the best look for us. Anyway, for the rest of the night, we stayed there. We didn't really go anywhere else. So maybe like an hour later, we were like, alright, we're tired, like we should go. And instead of going back to campus, we all decided to stay at a jimjilbang. Now, for those who don't know, a jimjilbang is like a bathhouse, sort of. Usually staying there is very, very cheap, like 10,000 won. So a lot of people do it instead of going home or going to a guest house. We end up in babysitter mode. It was pretty much me, the guy from Seattle, and the moto jacket dude, and I guess to some extent the girl from Florida. We were kind of trying to rein in everybody else. The sweet Scottish girl, the New Zealander, and the Canadian. Like, they're running down the alleys in Daegu and they're just running around. We're like, yo, stop it. I mean, because a lot of streets were very residential and quiet too. So we're like, yo, stop, like, shh, like, be quiet. And we finally make our way
downtown, walking fast, faces pass, and I'm home.
together. We're like chasing down, like put that down. That's not your, take that out of your mouth. Come on. It was ridiculous. So we finally get to jimjilbang, and the lady who works there is visibly annoyed with us because most of us are like stumbling in and being loud. And she's like, yeah, palier. So we're all paying. We changing our t-shirt and our shorts. Some girls are falling asleep in the locker room, like on the girls' locker room on the bench, and we're like, wake up, this is not where we sleep. We gotta go over here. Yeah. So we finally get to where everybody is supposed to sleep, and we see it's like a massive room, like a huge room of just people just sleeping on the floor wherever they can find space. And they gave us these little like blocks for a pillow, which I was like, I can't sleep on that. Now mind you, it's probably like 4:30, 5-ish in the morning already, so sleep isn't really a goal of mine. If anything, I kind of just wanted to lay down and go through my phone. But somewhere I did drift off to sleep, but it had to have only been for like 20 minutes. And then I got kicked in the head and I got woken up. Because you're literally like head to foot, foot to elbow, knee to back, like just wherever you can fit. It's like Tetris on this floor. One thing that was super sweet is the guy from Seattle and the moto jacket dude were like sat up against the wall kind of watching us. Well, more so the guy from Seattle was watching the Scottish girl and the moto jacket was watching the Canadian girl to make sure nobody touched them and or kicked them or tried anything weird. So that was really sweet. I was like, oh, look at y'all got y'all guardians. That was cute. So I didn't sleep and I ended up sitting up going through my phone, and they were still up. So I just was like, hey, like, y'all not sleeping? And he was like, no, you know, we're probably gonna head out and go like home in like 2 hours anyway. Then we're like, how are you so good at English? Because this guy is really good at English, the moto jacket dude. And he's a translator. He's only like 19 and he's a translator. So luckily, people started to wake up, the lights came on and everything. And we probably only even stayed at the jimjilbang for like 2.5, 3 hours. So we wake up, get changed back in our clothes, and decide to head out for breakfast. That's the thing with business hours in Korea. Things open mad late. A lot of like breakfasty or food restaurants period pretty much open at like 10 or 11 a.m. Oh, but before I forget, at the jimjilbang, we met up with the group of Canadians who ran away from us like in the beginning of the night, from the beginning of the story. They're like, oh hey guys, how was your night? And we're looking at y'all like, we ended up in the same place and you acted like we needed your help. You know what I mean? Like that was just really unnecessary. It was funny because the moto dude was like, wait, why are you guys upset with him? Because me and the guy from Seattle was like, you son of a bitch. He's like, wait, what's wrong? Like, why are you upset? We're like, well, we all came here on the same train and the same bus, and as soon as we got to the station, they decided to run away from us for some reason. He's like, yeah, that sounds childish. The 19-year-old is like, yeah, that sounds childish. It was kind of funny though, because the girl from Canada liked him and everything, but she was like, he's too young. And we're the same age, so she was also 23 at the time, so she thought 23 and 19 was like too much. I mean, that's like if me and Jungkook were dating, the 4-year difference. So yeah, after all this happened, we went to get some breakfast somewhere, and we wanted to like walk around and shop during the day. We didn't want to just see Daegu downtown at night. So we went, looked at some shops, cafes, just, you know, hopped around a little bit. And that's pretty much how the night ended. So yeah, that's the story of my first night clubbing out in Korea. And it happened to be in Daegu. So thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.